Take 2
of episode 4.
I know. And if anybody was watching the last show, I mean, you feel my pain here. It was pure gold.
His fault.
It was pure gold. No, it wasn't. Well,
log on to the Uptown Fitness Wi-Fi.
I mean, it wasn't our equipment. Our equipment is good, and I could see the screen from here. We look fabulous. I mean, as fabulous as I could look, anyway. But the problem was we had a bad upload. We had a bad upload speed because I was on an Xfinity Wi-Fi hotspot rather than your fantastic Uptown Fitness Wi-Fi. So we're gonna we deleted that. So those of you who watched it, that's
sorry.
No, well, no, but I'm gonna say that you get rewarded. You got a little free show that no one else is gonna get to see, and that stuff was gold. That material was pure gold. It was gold, Jerry, gold. Remember Banya on Seinfeld?
Yeah.
It was gold, Jerry. It's gold. So anyway, it would be cool if one person would tell us how it looks.
Well, they're going to tell us if it sucks. We know that.
Yeah,
which we appreciate.
Yeah, they didn't hold back. Dude, I know who to hang out with if I got spinach in my teeth.
Yeah.
God. All right, so it's the all new Jeff Dubay show with Jason Linse, episode 4, take 2. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, there's Nesdal. Nesdal, you need a knowledgeable sports mind.
Tell him to give it a rest.
Do you know how boring it would be, with all due respect, if you were sitting here talking?
So anyway.
Oh, God. But hey, still love you.
But this might be a little bit abbreviated because, we got lives. We can't just sit around and do podcasts all day long. Actually, I could. I mean, if you need to leave, go ahead. I mean, whatever. But, just a horrible sports week. I feel like the people watching this are going to be like, well, I caught the early act, caught the matinee. Don't really need to see the second show.
But Jeff, we get like 1,500 views, and we only had a couple hundred. So this is for the other 13.
Yeah, you're right. I just got to suck it up.
Yeah.
I just got to suck it up and be a gamer. Since we saw you last week, not 20 minutes ago, just a tough sports week for Minnesota fans, to say the least. Gopher football loses to Wisconsin. My favorite hockey team, the Minnesota Gophers. I said that like a true Fargo person. Gophers lose to North Dakota twice. That was painful for me. Maybe not for many others, because I just don't think anybody gives a rip about Gopher hockey anymore, which is sad in and of itself.
You don't blame them, do you?
No, it's just not the same. Nothing about it is the same. And I don't blame. I said there's no one to blame. You know who I blame? I blame Penn freaking State. Penn State ruined college hockey.
Yes.
One program came in and ruined college hockey. I mean,
you educated me on that last year because I don't follow hockey.
They
didn't have a choice. I wish they were still the WCHA. No, that's not. They didn't have a choice. The Big Ten had to. Yeah.
I mean, what sucks is the Big Ten's got a rule that if half the teams are participating in a sport, then that's the conference has to have that sport.
Yeah.
And Penn State was the 6th Big Ten team, and at the time there were 12.
There was 12.
Yeah, and then it switched to 14. I can do the math on that. That's not half. I know Notre Dame has since stepped in and become a 7th Big Ten team in hockey only.
Okay, yeah.
But still, they're not a Big Ten team overall, so I don't think that we would be required to count that as a 7th team. But anyway, you can't get the genie back in the bottle.
No.
You just can't. It's over with. I mean, I despise Penn State. I mean, they ruined college hockey. At least they ruined it for me. They ruined it for people like me. I mean, it's like. I don't know. I was going to say it's like Sandusky ruining college hockey. It's like reasons to hate Penn State. It's like they're both up here, way up here.
Have you been to Happy Valley, the campus? Have you been there?
No, I've heard it's fabulous.
I went there one time, and I actually went past Paterno's house and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But I had mixed feelings. I mean, I love Paterno and all that stuff, but all the history. But they're tainted because of that.
Oh,
they
absolutely.
legitimately got rid of a statue.
I know they did. But you know what? I'll give them a lot of credit for how they have rebuilt in a short period of time.
Yes, isn't that amazing?
And not just
they have 2 down years.
Maybe? I mean, and not just on the field, but I mean, I don't think people look at Penn State and think Sandusky anymore. I mean, I thought they would for 30, 40 years, but they don't. They just, I don't. Of course, I'm bringing it up.
I don't.
I'm the one bringing it up here, but I mean, yeah. I mean, they've like created, a new culture. I know that's a fleckism that we've been throwing around a lot, but that was also in the previous show, which is now deleted. But anyway. Back to our misery. Last night, the Vikings lose to the Seattle Seahawks, 37-30. Boy, by the way, if you're a betting man, what a tough beat that is. I think the Vikings were a 3-point underdog. If Bailey, kicks an extra point, it's a 3-point game.
It's a 3-point game.
Yeah, and then if they do anything with the football on that final drive, rather than have to give it up on downs and have Seattle kick a field goal, that's what they call a bad beat in the business. I'm sure.
So Jeff, because we're going to do a shorter version,
but Scott Van Pelt will talk about that.
I'm sure he will. We're going to do a shorter version because of the time and stuff. The paraphrase from your take on the game Cousins played good, but not good enough to win. But it's not on him necessarily.
Right.
This defense has a million holes.
It's on the defense. I mean, Cousins. I'm not going to put this one on Cousins. I'm also not going to. I'm not going to say that Cousins played good enough to win, because quite literally he didn't, because he had an opportunity at the end and he didn't. I mean, he gave it up on downs. So it would be literally untrue to say he played good enough to win, because he had the chance and didn't do it. But is he the reason they lost? Absolutely not. Cousins is having a great year. Cousins is having, he's not an MVP season, but an MVP conversation season. He's having, he's one of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the league statistically. And it goes beyond statistics.
Had he taken him down that final drive,
it would have been epic.
Would he be MVP? He would have elevated to MVP conversation.
He would have been right up there with Lamar Jackson. I'm not kidding. If you 2 weeks ago against Denver, when you come back from 20 down at the half to win a game in the NFL, it's a big deal. They won in 99 is the number now in the last 5 years.
And he was down 17 late in the third,
yes,
was it?
This was in the fourth. I mean, this was a 17-point lead or deficit on the road at Seattle against a really good defense in a really hostile environment, a place that's almost impossible to win, like a primetime type game like last night. I mean, there are a lot of things stacked against the Vikings last night. I mean, Russell Wilson is money. He's money almost all the time anyway, but he's really money in Monday night type scenarios or primetime scenarios. The Seattle Seahawks, a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter. Had Cousins pulled that off, like I said earlier, nobody would have been allowed to say a bad thing about Kirk Cousins in my presence for the rest of my life.
There's fighting words.
Yeah. Had Cousins pulled that off, I feel like I would have owed it to him to fight anybody who said anything bad about him in my presence till the day I died.
But he didn't.
But that's just the kind of guy I am.
But he didn't pull it off.
But he didn't. And then again, he is not the reason. Don't anybody think that I'm putting this loss on him. This loss is on the defense. I don't understand why the defense is struggling the way it is. And it's been like this for weeks. And Zimmer is.
Are they getting older?
Well, of course. I mean, Xavier Rhodes has always been injury prone, so I'm just not sure that physically he's. Well, I know for a fact physically he's not what he was a couple years ago. I also don't think he's washed up. I think he still could be better than he's been. I think I don't think he's done. I don't think what you see from Xavier Rhodes right now is exactly what you'll get forever. But it's what you're getting now, and it's not good enough.
I'm gonna call him Clay.
Well, yeah, we talked about this earlier. Xavier Rhodes. That's how he wants it pronounced. He said specifically this offseason, it's Xavier. So it is what it is. However, the university is still Xavier. Anytime X starts a word, sounds like the letter Z. So Xavier Rhodes can call himself whatever he wants, but he cannot rewrite the rules of the English language. If you see a word that starts with the letter X,
but you think that he is
not his name. His name is Xavier.
You don't think he's a liability?
Last night he was. Last night Xavier Rhodes.
Parts of this season has he been?
Last night his play was so disgusting. I would call him triple X Xavier Rhodes, but don't bump. No, he was horrible. He was, and I don't understand the deep ball. I don't understand thinking that you have safety help when you can see plainly in your field of vision Harrison Smith is at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he thought that Harris was back.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It's such a lack of communication. It's just such a mental mistake. But physically, we've seen Xavier Rhodes get really beat up over the years. He's not physically the same guy he was. He's a physical cornerback. Who injuries have definitely taken a toll. He's not one of these tiny little speedsters like a Darryl Green.
No, he's big.
He's a big, tough, physical guy.
Yeah.
And so is Trey Waynes for that matter. It's the style that the Vikings like to have, and the style that they like to play. They put those corners up in the line of scrimmage and basically put them on an island and say, hey, you bump this guy at the line, you follow him everywhere he goes, and we're gonna put you on an island and ask you to make plays. And he's in years past, if you go back 2 years, go back to the 13-3 season, teams wouldn't even throw to Xavier Rhodes. I mean, half the field,
closed.
Yeah. I mean, half the field was taken away, and that's when people started to mistakenly believe that Trey Waynes wasn't any good because he got thrown at all day long, and he gave up some plays, but he also kept the fort down. I mean, if you get thrown at, if you're the one guy out there who's getting thrown at all day long, and your defense at the end of the day is the third best defense in the league. Yeah. That you're not getting killed. I mean, you're holding up your own. Yeah. You're going to give up some plays, but you're holding up your own. And Waynes is better now than he was 2 years ago. So I mean, that's that whole Rhodes being so good that Waynes got got picked on a little bit, really gave people the wrong impression of Trey Waynes, who is a well above average cornerback in this league. But anyway, at 34-17, let's go back to the first half. 17-10, Vikings playing well, looking good. They even put together a really good hurry up drive at the end of the half to get 3. I'm feeling great about it at half. They're up 17-10. They get the ball to start the second half. The third quarter was such a disaster. I mean, from the initial 3 and out, which was nearly a fumble.
I stopped watching.
I mean, they go 3 and out. They give up a touchdown. They fumble it away. They give up a field goal after that one, I believe. Then they get the interception. And by the way, Cousins' first interception in like 2 months, and it was a ball right into Stephon Diggs' hands. So I mean, you can't even really fault him for that one.
I don't think they should count those, but anyway.
But I mean, the bottom line is, for the third quarter and the beginning of the fourth, it was they reverted back to their form of the first half of that Denver game. I mean, just a team that can't get out of its own way, just mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake, whether it's turnovers, lack of execution.
Stumbling.
Yeah, but then, out of nowhere, you have this really good first half, you have this complete mess of a third quarter, then out of nowhere, here they come. I mean, Laquan Treadwell, are you kidding me? Laquan Treadwell, 58-yard touchdown. That's when you start thinking, well, heck, not only is it a 10-point game with 2 minutes to play, but that's got to be some kind of sign. That's got to be some kind of omen. I mean, that's
comeback time.
Yeah, seriously. So, that's you're thinking, here we go. But they get that fake punt was a gutty call, by the way. So Seattle gets the ball. The Vikings get a stop. Looks like they get the ball back. Chance to cut into 10. Cut into that 10-point lead, but they execute. They call just a ballsy fake punt, and they execute it perfectly. However, a handful of plays later, Xavier Rhodes. So if we're going to rip on him, we got to give him credit where credit is due. He forces a turnover, big turnover, fumble that gets the Vikings the ball back. I thought if they even held them to a field goal there, it'd be a 13-point game, they'd have a chance. But to come away with no points was huge. Vikings go right down the field. Third down, they convert. Third and goal, they convert to Rudolph. And it's like, in the second half, Rudolph again started to become a really big factor. And I just think that when Thielen's out, Rudolph has to be a huge factor. And when he has been, they haven't missed him.
So the offense played good enough to win. That's the point, right?
They did.
And
it's not on the offense.
We scored 30 points. We gave up 37.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand this defense. They just absolutely got crushed at the line of scrimmage. They were destroyed by the run, gashed by the run.
Gashed by the run.
I don't want to say gashed. When you say gashed, when I say gashed or when I hear gashed, I'm thinking giant holes being blown open and people.
Yeah.
They were pushed.
It was
just
like shoved around.
They did. I mean, they got blown off the line of scrimmage, where running backs would get 2-3 yards down the field before coming into any physical contact with the defensive line or linebackers. And when they did, they'd still drag them for another 2 to 3 yards. So I mean, rather than gashing, it was just a bludgeoning. The running game was a bludgeoning. Yeah, but I mean, it's a copycat league, and teams are going to see that.
Yep.
Although, I mean, you look at the remainder of the Vikings schedule. You look at what kind of team do they have that's capable of doing that. Maybe the Bears, maybe the Chargers to an extent. I mean, the Packers are certainly not going to go 6 offensive linemen and pound you all day. They're going to want to throw the football. The Lions aren't capable of doing anything.
So here's the thing, though, Jeff.
I don't think I'd game plan for the Lions. I think I would take a week off, tell the players to go home and chill.
Don't say that.
They're not going to lose to the Lions.
Okay, fine.
Did you see who the Lions quarterback is?
Well, but
Kyle Sloter.
Well, no, he's not.
Well, he's the backup. No, he's the backup.
Well,
but still.
So we're going to run the table and go 12-4. Unfortunately, we're going to still be a 5 or 6 seed.
12-4 is going to be
a 5 or 6 seed.
Yeah, it is. It's unfortunate
because Green Bay will win the division at 12-4.
Yeah, because of wild cards. The way wild cards
they should be 10-6.
And that's they should. They're just horrible officiating, and I know that it just sounds like sour grapes, but objectively, the Green Bay Packers won 2 games at Lambeau Field, one against the Vikings, one against the Lions, that were completely tainted by horrible officiating. Neither of those games would have been won without bizarre, unexplainable penalty calls, or the Vikings case, not a penalty call, but it was. They called offensive pass interference on a review. It just was beyond bizarre. But it was a scoring play, so it was a booth review. I don't think it's a play that LaFleur would have even bothered to throw a red flag on. It's just it was such a subtle little, and I don't think there was even intent to call subtle as even calling it.
Makes you think there's a conspiracy.
Yeah. Well, anyway, but yeah, this whole the day that they voted to allow instant replay on pass interference calls, I thought, oh, this is going to be a shit show. I mean, pardon my language. I shouldn't say that on Facebook Live, but it was, and it is. You cannot take I'm not sure you can. I hope that they don't take us down for this. But
Really?
yeah, no, we got to keep
We've
it
dropped
clean.
some
No, keep it clean.
F-bombs.
Keep it clean.
All right. I've kept it clean for 3 episodes. All right.
More or less. I lost my train of thought now. But yeah, this whole judgment calls being able to be reviewed. That's what pass interference is.
Yeah.
A judgment call. It's there's been no consistency in how it's been called all year.
Yeah.
They were willing to call it early. Then they spent 2 months not calling it at all. Now they're starting to call it again. Nobody knows what the threshold is or what the standard is or what the line is. It's just it's ridiculous. It was a horrible idea. I hope they trash it. And I think it's hilarious that it was all because of the whining and pissing and moaning of Sean Payton. And then 2 weeks ago, he has 2 review calls on pass interference calls go against him. And he starts bitching saying, okay, we just need an extra guy in the booth. Now we need 3 guys in the booth instead of 1. So it's like basically every time something goes against Sean Payton, it's time to change a rule. He's a whiny.
In the deleted episode, we talked about Russell Wilson being a tool bag. Sean Payton's a tool bag.
Yeah, they're both tool bags.
Yeah.
And just to get people caught up quickly, if they ever remake Revenge of the Nerds, I think Russell Wilson would be a perfect Stan Gable because he's just like this, really dreamy eye. He's always doing the pretty boy, frat boy, quarterback thing. He'd be perfect in Revenge of the Nerds. Is like the smug asshole.
Oh, they didn't find Betty. Who's going to do Betty?
He's going to what?
Who's going to do Betty?
I don't know. My pie. That's my pie. That's the girl one, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm thinking if I'd be more interested in who's going to play Ogre. I mean, Ogre's he's a central figure. You got to find some big stupid idiot. I mean, whatever. Some lummox.
Tatum.
Some lummox. It's got to be. I don't know. But anyway, it was a tough weekend. Lummox. You don't hear a lot of lummoxes anymore. But a tough weekend for Minnesota sports fans. A really tough weekend for me because of my hatred for the Wisconsin Badgers and the Green Bay Packers. The Vikings loss really sets Green Bay up well to win the NFC North, although it is completely undeserved. And, of course, then the Gophers 2 days earlier lost to the Wisconsin Badgers, which is always painful. Quickly, a few takes on that game. I think it was lost in the first quarter, and that's the quarter where the team played their best. But I think it was a decision to punt from Wisconsin's 33. That was a mistake. And I love PJ Fleck. I'm a huge PJ Fleck
Did he get asked
supporter.
about that, by the way? Did you ever hear a response?
Sure he did, but I was too sour to watch any press conference stuff. I was not in the mood at that point. And being a college coach is a unique thing. I mean, you're how you run a program, how you sell your program, how you recruit kids, the culture you build. I know that we're throwing out some more Fleckisms here. The way you motivate those kids to play. Those are the biggest factors in being a college football coach. How you X and O. How you manage a game that's less than half of it. It's definitely less than half the job. Yeah. And I don't know that Fleck is particularly good in those areas. He wastes timeouts. He really, really recklessly wastes timeouts. And I'm not trying to be critical of somebody who I'm a huge supporter of. Love PJ Fleck. Was thrilled. Like when back in the year where the Gophers won the Holiday Bowl and Fleck was taking Western Michigan to the Cotton Bowl, and the Gophers said they were after the Holiday Bowl win, which was very impressive, very convincing against Washington State. When the Gophers said we're going to wait 5 days to make a decision, I was the happiest man in the world because I knew instantly that means okay, they're just waiting for the Cotton Bowl to be over. No, they're going to get PJ Fleck, and they've got the Cotton Bowl's in 5 days. They didn't make that number up. It's not like 5 days was going to reveal the truth to them about which way they should go. They knew which way they should go, and they had to wait 5 days to do it. So
they couldn't have hired him before the bowl game.
Well, I don't think he would have even bothered talking to him. Right. I mean, he's playing in a Cotton Bowl. It was a respect move too.
That's a New Year's Day bowl, right?
It can be. It moves around. It's not New Year's Day this year.
The Gophers will play on a New Year's Day bowl, though, right?
Yes.
When will they make those decisions, Jeff? When will we know?
I would imagine after this week. I mean, why not? After the conference championship games have been played and the playoff has been selected. Is this selection this Sunday? Don't they do selection Sunday like the basketball?
If Wisconsin beats Ohio State, does that affect us?
I don't know. If Wisconsin beats Ohio State, do you think Ohio State goes to the playoffs still?
No.
I don't either. Some people do. But I don't think they would. But if Ohio State does not go to the playoff, then I believe Ohio State would go to the Rose Bowl. So, I mean, I don't think Wisconsin could go to the Rose Bowl. I think it's really unlikely that Wisconsin goes to the Rose Bowl because right now Penn State, I believe Penn State's going to be the higher-ranked team between the two of them, especially if Wisconsin gets beat by Ohio State.
Like they likely will.
Yeah, and potentially badly. I mean, they lost him like 35-7 or 38-7.
Watching from Kenya. We got a Kenyan watching.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow, props out, bro. Love your marathoners.
Yeah.
Go get them. 2020.
First thing I thought is, are you a runner?
Yeah, seriously. But you remember that Seinfeld when they're watching the New York City Marathon? And Jerry goes, what's a marathon? A guy from Kenya, a woman from Norway, and 5,000 losers.
Yeah.
That's fairly accurate.
That's 25,000 losers.
Well, whatever, however many people run that
Lots.
stupid thing.
Stupid thing.
I mean, why you run 26
Have you ever
miles?
ran 3 miles?
Get a cab. I mean, seriously, Rosie Ruiz, was it Rosie Ruiz?
So you never
Rosie Ruiz.
You never ran around a lake or the block or anything?
I've walked around a lake.
Is that what I asked you?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, run, no. Not. Well, I've got a bad wheel. I've got hardware.
Sure.
I do. I've got hardware.
Always have? How did you?
Since the age of 24. Busted up playing baseball at the Metrodome at the age of 24. But I digress. This is not what the people are tuning in for.
You were a ball boy?
That's correct. I had, anyway, I'll tell the Cal Ripken, Billy Ripken story some other time. But we played a game, we called it tater ball, but it was just sandlot baseball.
You hurt your knee playing with Cal Ripken?
No, that's playing our little version of sandlot baseball, which apparently you can play on artificial turf. We called it tater ball. We played it down on the field. Second base was home plate. So we could hit home runs and such. One night we're out there playing till like 2 a.m, and Cal Ripken and Billy Ripken came down and played with us. It was pretty awesome. They both batted left-handed. They were still pretty good. But it was, I've had a sandlot ball game with a Hall of Famer. It's pretty, and his brother.
That is impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So we got.
But anyway, back to the Gophers are going to go to I think they're going to go to the Outback Bowl, which is in Tampa. If they don't, they're going to be in the Citrus Bowl, which is in Orlando. There's really no difference.
Yeah.
I mean, the Citrus Bowl is, I believe, like a one rung above the Outback Bowl, but they're both in Central Florida. I mean, they're an hour or two apart geographically.
Yeah.
They're played at the exact same time on the exact same day. They're both Big Ten versus Southeast Conference. For all intents and purposes, they're the same game. The Gophers played in the Citrus Bowl a few years ago under Jerry Kill. They played against and lost to Missouri.
That wasn't on New Year's Day, though.
Yes, it was.
Was it? Okay.
It was a New Year's Day Bowl. This is the second time they'll play on January 1st in my lifetime. So.
All right. So I thought it was the first. So that's right. Kill did take him to New Year's Day.
He did.
Good.
He did. Yep. And they lost to Missouri. And the Citrus Bowl, like I said, it's probably considered half rung to a rung above the Outback Bowl. But the Gophers this year are better than they were the year they went to the Citrus Bowl, and they have a better record, and they're higher in the standings of the Big Ten. So I mean, and this is what we're talking about before. Well, I think they'd have to get to the Citrus Bowl to play Auburn. I think they're more likely to play Tennessee. And I tell you what,
Rocky Top.
Well, that's just going to all the naysayers and the detractors are going to be like, oh, you didn't play anybody during the season. Now you get to a January 1st bowl game, and you're just going to play Tennessee. And Tennessee's not a very good team, and the Gophers should house them. And I think it's I'll take it. Yeah, I'm not saying the Gophers couldn't compete with or beat Auburn or Florida, because those are other two teams that would be in that same kind of mix for that type of a bowl game. But Tennessee's a team they should beat, and you know what? Go to a January 1st and
go 11-2.
Yeah, dude, I'm fine with it. A lot of people are not happy with it.
Jeff. It's good for everything.
But anyway, when it comes to college football, and this is a point.
I'll get to Blooming Prairie in a second here. Don't worry.
Oh God.
So we got to please the fans.
Anyway, one other thing I wanted to get to that we got to in the first show that has now since been deleted because of poor internet. It's not my fault. It's Xfinity. The fact that people have really started to try to put what I consider to be negative spins on this Gopher season. I mean, people who were all aboard at 9-2 thinking, oh, what a great year. This is amazing. I love it. Then they lose to Wisconsin. Those same people are like, oh, it was all about the schedule. They wouldn't have done it without the soft schedule. They should have been 8-0. They should have been 9-0. And it goes back to, you remember Tracy Clay's year? The year we were just talking about before.
I love Tracy Clay's.
They were 8-4, and they went to the Holiday Bowl, and they
Yes.
beat Washington State. Do you remember what the criticism of that year was? That they beat everybody in their schedule that they should beat, and they lost all their big tests. And they did. Remember, they lost a heartbreaker to Michigan where they were like down to the 1-inch line and they couldn't score.
But that is
They mismanaged the clock.
But that is worthy of criticism.
But no, it's not.
Because you
know how dumb it is to say you only beat the teams that you're better than? But isn't that the point? To get it to be better than is most.
In order to get better, you've got to beat at least, and we did it this year. So I'll segue. You got to beat it. You got to beat a team or two.
Okay. Well, I remember
that you're not supposed to beat.
I remember a time when the Gophers were better than 1 or 2 teams on their schedule, and 9 or 10 teams on the schedule were better than the Gophers.
Yeah.
That's how you go 2-9.
This is the third year with PJ
right?
Fleck.
I mean, when the Gophers went 8-4, I'm sorry, but somebody who watched them go 2-9 is going to appreciate the fact that they were better than 8 teams on their schedule. So don't give me this nonsense. Oh, you only beat the teams you're supposed to beat. Well, that's the point. You're trying to get better. They were better than 8 teams on their schedule.
It's certainly better.
And this year they were better than 10 teams.
It's certainly better than last year, where you lost to teams that you were better than, right?
I'm not sure how good they were last year. But
but regardless,
whatever.
in the past, Gophers have laid an egg, like Wisconsin laid an egg at Illinois this year, right?
Yeah, it happens.
So we didn't do that, right?
No.
But I think you can have it both ways, where you can be disappointed and maybe a little bit. Let's say,
Oh, it's fair to be disappointed about the outcome of that
maybe
game.
critical is a strong word, but I think we did beat Penn State. That's great.
Yeah.
But we lost to. I think we're better. Iowa's not as good as Penn State, and I don't think either Wisconsin is either. So it would have been nice to win one of those two. But that being said, let's not be negative town.
Negative town.
Let's not go to negative town completely. We're 10-2.
Right.
We're going to a New Year's Day bowl game, right?
Yeah, people
And
can be upset.
this isn't the old Gophers saying accept mediocrity, 8-4, 9-3. No, we expect to be 12-0 some point. I do. I think under Fleck, I expect 11-1. I expect a playoff.
Well,
sometime, maybe not next year, but sometime in the next few years.
If he's here for 5 years.
Well, I was going to say, let's talk about that, which is we didn't on the first one, which nobody just deleted anyway.
Mm-hmm.
What is the likelihood of him? Do we have to worry about him 5 years? He's not going to be here 5 years from now, is he?
That's my concern. I mean, if this program continues on its current arc, he will not be here in 5 years. They're pretty protected for a year or two with the new buyout clause, but at some point it goes down to like $4 million, then $3 million, then $2 million.
Yeah.
So I mean, if somebody wants it badly enough, it was either Suhan or Royce. I don't know if it was kind of tongue in cheek, but maybe semi-serious. But there's some truth to it. I mean, like joking around about, I think it was Royce joking around about Fleck coaching Notre Dame in 2021. That would be 2 years from now. Next year's the $10 million buyout.
Catholic?
Then it goes right down. Then it goes significantly down. I think it goes from 10 to 4 or 10 to 3. And a school like Notre Dame, if that's the coach they want,
I think
they got the deep pocket boosters that'll take care of that.
I think Fleck's an atheist, so I'm not worried about that.
Well,
but
I don't think he's an atheist, bro.
he's really really careful about.
One thing the first thing he said to this team when he got here off the plane from Western Michigan 3 years ago was a Bible verse. All right, he said you didn't choose me.
And I
but
know he does
you.
academically,
That's
spiritually, blah blah blah.
That's a Bible
I get that, but he's really careful about talking about that. So I think though it's probably because he's got players in the team that are other religions. That's probably why.
Maybe, but
anyway,
he's
before we sign off, I got to do it. Blooming Prairie High School
and Uptown Fitness.
Class
Don't
1.
forget about
Uptown Fitness, 1207 Laguna Avenue. If you want to get fit, you want to get trained without spending a lot of money on personal training. Whether you want to lose 20 pounds, 30 pounds, you want to gain muscle, whatever you want to do, we've got you covered. And most people do the small group because it's cost sharing. You can pay just a few $100, a couple $100 a month instead of $1,000 and get as fit as Jeff Dubay. So Blooming Prairie, Minnesota. Yeah, get a kettlebell there, Jeff. Blooming Prairie, Minnesota, Class 1A state champions. My alma mater, went to high school in Blooming Prairie, Minnesota. But Jeff, who's been a naysayer, he hasn't been too supportive of the Blossoms and what they accomplished. It's only 1A, fine. That's not their fault, right?
It's not their fault.
You got a
It's not
enrollment
that
of
big a
50,
deal.
60 kids.
It's not a Cinderella
It's
story.
11-man football.
But you can't have a Cinderella story in 1A because you're playing Cinderellas. They're all Cinderellas.
By the way,
they're all the cutest little story ever.
So, well, hang on. The team that they beat lost. This Blooming Prairie lost to them in the semifinals last year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in U.S. Bank in the Final Four.
Yeah.
Then they meet them in the championship game this year, and it was close at half, closer, and then they took it away in the second half. So our first only state championship in football, and actually the only team championship for a boys team. Girls have a couple in track and other stuff. So it's a big deal for that little town. But here's
the girls won one in football.
No, in softball.
Get my attention.
But here's the coolest thing about this story, I think, is Gabe Hagan, number 8, wide receiver for the Blossoms. He's playing for Minnesota State
Gabe
next year.
Hagan?
Gabe Hagan.
Oh, Gabe Hagan. Okay, my bad.
Jesus, Freudian. So he's playing for Minnesota State next year as a tight end. He's verbally committed. And I think he runs a 4.70, 6'5", 240, 250.
Damn.
But he catches a pass, and it made top 10 ESPN. That's pretty cool. But they screwed up his name.
How do you screw up Gabe Hagan?
I don't. Somebody must have wrote it down wrong.
It's not a complicated.
But anyway, Blooming Prairie Blossom. I'm wearing my black. I don't have a Blossom shirt. But
it's
anyway.
the shirt. It's the
black
mascot.
and white.
It's so creepy though. The mascot.
The Blooming Prairie Blossoms. Yeah.
The Blossom is a creepy looking little thing.
But we had 5,000 people there. The town's got 2,000. How many alum were there? Would you go if Hopkins was in football championship?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not.
There you go.
That cord's been cut.
We represent. Go Blossoms. We got to cut it out, Jeff.
Yeah, Uptown Fitness. You want to plug it?
I just
That's
did.
what we're here for. Oh, you did?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's when I was doing this.
What do you have? Short-term memory loss.
All right. Well,
How about a beer?
that's a 2-for-1. People got a 2-for-1 today.
Yeah, you did.
I hope you're happy.
We'll see you guys next week.